a lot of creators know how to create viral content, but there's a difference between creating viral content and creating content that leads to a monetizable audience. I am a Forbes 30 Under 30 founder of Ultimate Ivy League Guide and content creator in the education space with over 2 million followers collectively, and I'm a Harvard student.
What would you say the feeling at Harvard around AI is?
A lot of students use AI for sure in order to get to their end goal easier, but I wanted to create content with the purpose of how can I actually provide value to other people.
Where do you think college is going in terms of relevancy, but also necessity moving forward?
I would say that higher education.
Well, Elise, thank you so much for coming on the Creators Founders podcast. We normally just get right into it. Founder and creator yourself, so it's kind of a perfect mix. You've kind of been alongside this community since we started. You came to our first event. You've been at tons of other events since then and really helped us grow, especially in Boston. So thank you so much for that. Yeah. And yeah, I'll toss the floor over to you if you want to just introduce yourself, get into your background a little bit, and tell us who you are.
Yeah, so my name is Elise. I am a Forbes 30 Under 30 founder of Ultimate Ivy League Guide, and I'm also a content creator in the education space with over 2 million followers collectively, and I'm a Harvard student, so I enjoy making a lot of content regarding college admissions and academics to really help democratize elite admissions to students all across the world.
That was really good. You've definitely said that before, and might as well just end it there because that's quite the resume. But no, we got a lot to unpack here, and I think especially relevant to being a creator and a founder yourself. Mm-hmm. Talk about let's bring it back to the beginning and talk about Ultimate Ivy League Guide, how that came about, but also what was your entrepreneurial journey like? Did you start other businesses in the past? Like as a kid, were you super entrepreneurial or creative? Like what was that like growing up?
Yeah, so I think it kind of came pretty spontaneously in the sense of whenever I came to college, I didn't expect to be an entrepreneur at all. Whenever I was in high school, I did work a lot of jobs. I did random side hustles, whether that was e-commerce, drop shipping, reselling, all these different things, but it was more so out of necessity to take care of my family than it was for let's build an empire. But I think because of those skills, that kind of gave me the motivation to essentially want to launch and scale a business in college. And the reason why I got into the education space in the first place was my journey in academics and college, I would say, came pretty surprisingly too. So I grew up raised by a single immigrant father. I didn't know anything about the college admission system. My dad knew nothing at all too. And I remember navigating the college admissions process myself in high school and feeling so alone and feeling like I wish I had the mentorship and resources that other students across the world do. And so whenever I got into Harvard, it was very surprising to me. And by the time that I did get to Harvard and I stepped on campus, I was like, okay, now that I'm here, how can I really maximize my resources to help other students that came from similar situations like me and who felt lost like me? And so I actually started off making academic content for a year. In the middle of my freshman year to the middle of my sophomore year, I was just making a lot of content regarding academics and college admissions to help students. And my platforms grew over time. And I believe within the first year, it reached a couple 100,000 followers. And through that, I've been able to meet admission officers, professors, people who had wanted to help me and give me knowledge on this process. And whenever people started, demanding more services or they wanted more help, I felt like there was a bottleneck because it was only me at that time. And I wanted to help as many people as possible, but I was essentially limited by my own capacity. And so I was like, how can I scale my services and my help in a more sustainable way? And that's whenever I met my current business partner, who knew a lot of information regarding like operations and scaling businesses. And together we worked to form Ultimate Ivy League Guide into a full-fledged college admissions consulting business. And I mainly kind of controlled more of the front end with like marketing and branding, and then he did a lot of the operations and putting the right systems in place. But really, really grateful for that, because as a result of like those learning processes, we've been able to reach hundreds of thousands of students and help hundreds of students one-on-one as well, and build a beautiful team that I'm very, very proud of. So
yeah, and it seems like it started at Harvard, it started here with your personal experiences, but now it's Ivy League in general and just the top universities in the world, right? So you've made a pretty global impact, and not just, you know, looking at Cambridge, Massachusetts as, you know, in that strictly that. So that's pretty cool. Now, when you first got here, were you creating content on your personal pages, or what was the transition from like creating content like yourself to just like, oh, like this is cool, like I want to, you know, document this, you know, help other people see what's possible, to, all right, like let me start a business around this and, you know, team up with someone who can really build that out?
Yeah, so I definitely started it more as like a personal diary, if anything. I was just sharing my own experiences. And then whenever I started to realize that like I didn't want to create content only for myself and to talk about myself, but I wanted to create content with the purpose of how can I actually provide value to other people. And so once I started focusing on content that way, that's whenever I made it into a brand, into a business. But I do think that nowadays, like going towards the future with a lot of businesses, like personal branding and organic content is going to be really, really high leverage, because people resonate with people. And so I think what makes Ultimate Ivy League Guide and our brand unique is that we have a lot of heart and soul behind our mission. We're not just trying to sell a mentorship business. We are not just trying to sell like acceptance letters into universities. We are trying to really help students build confidence in themselves and really see their potential to maximize their success. And that all comes from the story that I would say it all comes from my own personal story, and showing my audience that like, if I can do it, you can do it too. And I think that soul around the brand is what has allowed it to become so successful.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like, I think naturally, given your background, it was almost probably a no-brainer to create content and build storylines around it. But do you think that without social media, it would have been anywhere close to what it is like now?
Definitely not. I think social media is social media just has so much potential. I think everyone is basically on social media or consuming some form of social media, whether that's like, you know, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or like just like news and newsletters. I think that it's the easiest way to be able to reach a bunch of people, and businesses, founders, creators really need to be able to tap into that, because it has so much potential, especially moving towards the future. And I think like the more authentic you can be on social media too, the faster you can grow and resonate with a genuine audience.
Do you think there's any type of business, like any type of founder, like startup out there that like social media wouldn't benefit? Or do you think it's just like if it's a no-brainer, if you're starting a business, if you're a founder, if you're just trying to build something, like you should be using social media to leverage, you know, your growth?
I think it's a no-brainer. Like, I think that there's so much saturation out there regarding like business advertisements. Everyone's trying to sell some type of product, and consumers, they become very kind of saturated with like all of the noise out there. If you can actually build a brand that has a mission and a story, and you can convey that story to your audience, I promise you, you're going to beat your competition. Like, there's no doubt about it. Because once again, people buy from people. They're not going to buy from just companies.
Can you tell us a little bit about like where we are today, like what this place is?
Yeah.
Talk about Sea House a little bit.
Yeah, so we are in Sea House right now, and essentially we are Harvard and MIT's top founders residency. And it was started in 2023 by a couple Harvard dropouts who just wanted to work on their business and build a community together. And I started living in the house last year, so it's coming up 2 years now. And I used my time in the house to build and scale Ultimate Ivy League Guide. And during my time here, I just realized how important it is to have community whenever you are an entrepreneur. It can be a very lonely process, especially if your friends and the people around you are taking on more traditional paths in careers. And so for me, my time at Sea House was really valuable because it made me feel seen, and it connected me to so many resources and a network of founders, VCs, people that were willing to support me. And so actually this past semester, I was running Sea House as the lead of Sea House. And the reason why was I genuinely believe that Boston has so much talent. We are such a dense talent pool, but people leave to like New York and SF because it's more popular. But I genuinely believe that like if we can create that community here in Boston, there's just going to be like unicorns that are going to like develop, and like all these big name creators. And so my goal with Sea House now is to essentially make it like revitalize Boston and Cambridge as a hub of innovation, especially with so many young creators and founders here who have a lot of potential. They have so many ideas, but they don't have the network, the resources, or the tools yet. And so Sea House is essentially just a place to provide them those connections.
Yeah, I feel like what feels like it's missing in Boston is that support system and that just like overall ecosystem that is there for creators, founders, anyone that's building. And it's very prominent in other cities, but there's no reason why it shouldn't be here. I mean, you're from Dallas, right?
Yes.
Like, so coming from Dallas and being exposed to New York and SF and other cities, what in your eyes makes Boston so special?
Yeah, I think that Boston has a really diverse mix of people. Like, I would say SF, no offense to SF, but like it's a pretty homogenous in a way. And it's only like tech founders. But like Boston, I think, is a bunch of like early stage creators and founders in every single industry I can think of. And so I feel like people don't see enough how much potential that Boston has. I think New York has a lot of creativity there as well, but I think Boston is that perfect mix of like creatives and founders and people that are ambitious, and they're just like starting off on that launching pad. And so I am going to like honestly bet that 5-10 years down the line, like Boston's going to become like huge, bustling with a lot of successful people.
I fully agree. I mean, if there's any prediction markets out there that we can take some money on that, I would throw some coin down. But what do you think like specific steps like for Boston? I mean, you mentioned Sea House, like taking a lead here was important to you because of that and because of believing in Boston and wanting to help build that support system for these people. What else do you think is necessary to see that growth and to see that stability here?
Yeah, I think exactly what you guys are already doing with like building a community and connecting people, whether that's like creators and founders. And so I think like if we can continue to have those types of events and build that community where people feel supported, I think that is the best way to be able to kind of scale the talent that's here. Because I think a lot of the talent that's here, they aren't very connected in the network. And sometimes, especially in the Northeast, things can feel pretty individualized as well. So if we make it clear, like, hey, there are people here that can support you, there are people here that you can benefit from, and you can also help, I think that's probably the best way to be able to scale all of the talent here. But I already, like, honestly, I really love what you guys are doing already with I love that you guys are kind of connecting creators and founders, because a lot of the times I see a lot of founders that don't know much knowledge regarding like scaling their business on the organic content side. And then I see a lot of creators who are really tapped into that world but have no idea how to like manage their operations or essentially make something bigger than just like fame and an audience.
Sure. Yeah. No. And thank you. And
Yeah.
again, like, you've been a part of it since we started. So obviously you've played a big role in helping the community just grow, and we've brought so many people in. So obviously we appreciate you a ton for that, and we're excited to continue building. What do you think, like, specifically, like, creators and founders could learn from each other? Like, you mentioned that creators want to learn how to build a sustainable business and not just, they have all this distribution, but they don't know what to do with it, right? But like some key points that like either you've seen like in like our community, or just like in your world of being in these two spaces, or just like in general of what a founder can learn from a creator and vice versa.
I think whenever I transitioned from being just a creator to being both a creator and a founder, I think there's a lot of changes that I need to make that I think on the creator end, I would say that a lot of creators know how to create viral content. They know their audience very well, but there's a difference between creating viral content and creating content that leads to a monetizable audience. And so I think if creators can kind of learn the more operational side and like the more business side of things, then that will allow them to see their content and ideate from a different perspective that continues to resonate with their audience, but then also leads to a good lead funnel, essentially, in order to actually give them a sustainable income in a way. And I think a lot of the times, like, creators, their main bottleneck is themselves, and they don't know how to offboard their work or get other people involved in some way in order to make a sustainable income. And so I think there's a lot that creators can learn from founders. And then on the other end, I see a lot of founders, they know the operations, they know like paid ads and things like that, but they don't necessarily know how to create a brand that resonates with people, and a brand that has essentially a blue ocean strategy and can stand out amongst their competition. And I think that creatives are able to give founders that unique perspective on like, how can you create a brand that stands alone and like isn't even competing with other brands, but like is in its own lane just because its story is so unique and it resonates with their audience in such a unique way. And so I think there's a lot that creatives and founders can really like synergize on.
Yeah, I mean, fully agree. I think you put it really well. And there's a clear need or clear gap in both of their worlds that that the other, person can come in and almost fix or fill. And yeah, we've seen that a ton so far. Shifting a little bit to somewhat recently, Forbes 30 under 30.
Yeah.
I mean, congratulations. That's amazing. What was that like in getting that accomplishment?
Yeah, I think it was pretty surreal, because if you asked me like 2 years ago if I would be on Forbes 30 under 30, I would probably not believe you. And so I think that is like a reflection of how much you can do with the time that you have. I mean, my life completely changed within 2 years with growing Ultimate Ivy League Guide. Whenever I did receive the Forbes 30 under 30 recognition, I felt proud of my team. And I think essentially I didn't want to just celebrate the win myself, but I wanted to celebrate it with my team, because all of the people that have helped me up to this moment, whether it was like mentors, my community, my friends, my business partner, my team members, they have all been part of this entire journey. And so I almost felt like selfish being the only person that had that Forbes 30 under 30 label, whenever there were so many people that helped me along the way, and like the communities in Boston that have supported me. Like, I would not be here without that support. I would not be here without my team members who show up every single day willing to help students. I would not be here without my business partner who has taught me so much as well. And I would not be here without the mentors that I've been able to meet who have given me a lot of guidance along my journey. And so I think that whenever I received the Forbes 30 under 30 recognition, I just felt so proud of the people that helped me, actually. And I wanted to really share that win with them, because it really is their win and it's not solely mine. And so that was essentially like the feeling that I kind of felt whenever I like opened my phone that morning and I saw that email.
Yeah, and I think like you touched on that earlier, kind of starting Ivy League, Ultimate Ivy League Guide, and realizing I can't do this by myself. Yeah. Being involved in C House, wanting to be around people, like it's clear that, you know, being a leader, but also building a team and building an army of people that can fight alongside you to build, you know, something meaningful and something bigger than yourself was an instinct of yours from the beginning. Like, was that always just like in your head, like, I need to do this with other people, like I can't do this alone, like I can do so much by myself, but you know, I'm only going to get somewhere. And then also, what makes a good leader, and what have you learned about building a team and leading a team, and you know, creating an environment where people want to show up and work hard every day?
Yeah, so I would say that I think growing up, I definitely was always pretty independent. So I think whenever I first started off doing business, I was like, okay, I'll just try to manage everything by myself. And then I quickly came to see that it is not very sustainable for me to manage every single part of a business, and that's not the most high leverage use of my time, because it involves a lot of task switching and that leads to burnout. And so I think from there I was like, okay, I need to work with people who are smarter than me and people who resonate with my mission and who have the same work ethic as me as well. And so that's whenever I was like, I want to build a team. And I think that was very scary at first, definitely offloading a lot of tasks that I had essentially had control of up until then. But it was probably the best decision I made, and it allows me to focus my time on the most high leverage skill, which is content creation for me. And so that was amazing. And I think that the most important thing that I learned from adding members onto my team and building a team is you want to be able to create this space for your team members to achieve their goals within the overall goal of the business. Because the best team members, the A-level players, the superstars, they are going to have their own vision for what they want in their life, and that has to fit within the company vision as well. And so it's like making our vision and our mission big enough to be able to support our team members. And as a leader, I think honestly, it's so important to lead with direction and collaboration at the same time. And so I feel very, very grateful that like my team members, if they have a suggestion, if they want to give some constructive criticism on something, whether that's me being a leader or other parts of the business, they are not afraid to voice that. And I'm like, that is what it means to be in a good team. People who are all in support of each other, and they know that each of us, like, we're not perfect, but we are working towards this one mission to build this brand and to make it as great as it can be. And so I think that was like a reflection. I remember whenever, you know, after every team meeting, I'm like, okay, how can I improve as a leader, right? And my team members are open and willing to give me constructive criticism. I'm like, wow, like I'm so grateful for that, because that means that we've created a space where each of us are essentially like able to show up wanting to make each other better.
What's your take on, like, obviously with the rise of AI and productivity and, the unlocks that come with that, and the, small team 10-person unicorns that are coming out, like the importance of still having people behind it and working alongside people rather than just, AI is incredible and I'm sure you use it for many things in your business as well. But I guess building a team of people that leverage AI correctly.
Yeah, I think the thing about AI is that, yes, it can enhance individual innovation, but it can't enhance collective innovation. And so if you really want to win in the market and you want to create an innovative business, you're going to need people behind it that can innovate as well. And so I think AI is like a great tool to essentially prompt you with questions so that you can innovate yourself. But I do not think AI should replace humans in any way. It can definitely make like systems and certain rote tasks more efficient, but creativity and innovation I don't think can be replaced by AI at all.
What would you say the feeling at Harvard or in Cambridge around AI is like nowadays, like being so immersed in this world?
Yeah, I definitely think that a lot of students use AI for sure in order to get to their end goal easier. But I think it's also important to recognize that getting to your goal faster doesn't always mean that it's the best for you long term. Like AI, yes, it can make tasks a lot easier. It can make brainstorming a lot easier, but sometimes you do have to go through that difficult process in order to learn a bigger lesson and in order to learn the skills that will actually help you long term, whether that's in your current business or starting over with building another business. Like you want to be able to think through those problems yourself and know how to solve those. Yeah.
And then definitely a loaded question, but I think that, more and more people are realizing, and it's kind of funny because, we're sitting in a house that was created by people that were at some of the best universities in the world and dropped out. But where do you think college is going in terms of like relevancy, but also like necessity, moving forward?
Yeah, I would say that higher education, obviously it's not necessary to be successful. Like some of my best friends are college dropouts and they are very successful and they are smart and capable of a lot of things. I think that education and top institutions like Harvard and other Ivy Leagues, it's a great avenue to be able to meet new people and get resources that will allow you to essentially pursue your goals long term. I would say a lot of teenagers don't have the agency or independency to be able to tap into networks and resources by themselves. And so higher institutions like Harvard give them an avenue to do that. And so I think that's probably the highest return whenever it comes to going to college. I don't think it's necessary for success, but it's definitely a way to kind of turbo boost your success, especially if you don't even know where to start.
Sure. And you're around people that are high performers and think like you do and have similar aspirations and goals. So I think for that reason, it's important. But it's interesting the landscape that we live in today. And I think you mentioned, and I would totally agree, some of the most successful friends or people that I know dropped out of college or didn't go to college at all, which is insane. Yeah. So, well, I think that's kind of all I have. I think, it's obviously impressive what you've built. It's impressive to see, the whole operation here at Sea House as well, and amazing to have you as a part of our community and other members of the house and of, the overall ecosystem here in Boston. So yeah, I wanted to thank you again, and then also just ask you what's next for you and what, looking forward, what can we expect from you?
Yeah, I think over the next few years, just going to continue scaling our platforms and building the right systems that will allow us to reach more students. I think definitely we're going to think about how we can integrate AI into all of that as well, potentially build tools that will help students with college admissions, although not replace any part of it. But yeah, I would say like moving forward, I really want to make sure that my content is able to help as many students as possible. I think that's my mission and that's my purpose. And I want to be able to know that like through content and through social media, I can help students and make them feel seen in the same way that I wish I had whenever I was in high school.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Elise. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Ultimate Ivy League Guide. So yeah, Ultimate Ivy League Guide on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, and then you can just search up my name, Elise Pham, on LinkedIn if you want to connect with me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, telling your story, getting into some of these topics, and yeah, we'll see you around for sure.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me.